In this video, we are going to actually building one of our very first material and also a very common material, which is metal. As you can see here, we already have a model already made, and if we're going to the World tab, you also can see here we already have an HDRI loaded in here. So what we're going to need to do here, we don't need to worry about lighting. We are going to working on the metal setting for this material. So what we'll do here, I'm going to click this bottle, and you can see here it has been highlighted in orange color, so which means it's already selected. And then I'm going to click new, and under the shading tab, of course, we're going to have the classic default material principle BSDF. I can actually make the top window a little bit smaller. And this is under the solid mode. This is in the render view. If your water bottle is going to be metal and also have some color, you can just click here, the base color. You can just choose one. Usually you think about it as going to be a water bottle, so I can just choose a kind of bluish color. Let's go with there. And then next we are going to change a few settings. And the first thing you need to do is drag the metallic all the way to the 1. So not anywhere between, all the way to 1. So which means this is going to be a metal material, either 1 or 0. And the next thing we're going to do, we're going to actually decrease the roughness to very low number. As you can see here, we can quickly see that the texture is coming out with the reflections on the surrounding. So we're just going to go with kind of a lower number. I can just start with 0.01. That's pretty smooth. And you might start thinking, well, Wenbo, this doesn't look good, and looks like the metal is pretty reflective and it's reflecting all the surrounding environment in the HDRI, which is true. So that's why we need to do that. And then anything else we need to do? Are you having a specific metal that you need to do? You can change the IOR, but for me and also for the experience, I never really needed to change the IOR unless this very special metal that I would do. So 1.45, I can just leave in there. And surprisingly, this is all the setting we have for the metal. Then you will start having questions. Well, no, it doesn't look realistic. Well, good, because we are going to deal with another big major factors, which is the lighting. If you pay attention in the previous concept section, we have talked about we are using the diffuse based material. The lighting information is another big factors involved when we're texturing anything inside the Blender. So that now we're going to really focusing on how to getting good lighting starting. And next thing we can do, we can just select the cap. And then what we're going to do, just click here to see the drop down menu, and it has a material, and select that. And basically what's happening here is we didn't change the name of the material. I can just say metal, and then you can see here we have a number 2 in here, which is representing there are 2 mesh that are using the same material. And now without saying anything, this does not really look realistic. Then we need to start fixing that. Okay, so what we need to do here in order to really understanding how to make this realistic is simply we need to pay attention on the actual material, because this is a metal and it's super smooth. It's not that rough. You know, if this is a little bit rough, if this will be much easier to light, and this looks pretty nice. But a lot of time, if you're really dealing with some pretty smooth and pretty nice kind of metal, that's very challenging to photograph. So we will need to do here, we're gonna start rebuilding an environment around this model instead of using a HDRI to quickly getting the lighting up. So what we need to do here, we're gonna do Shift A to adding a plane. And now you can see here, this is the top view. I can make the plane a little smaller, and then go to the side view, and here we're gonna go to tab edit mode and select the 2 vertices in here, and then go to the side view, hit E and Z to kind of like getting the background. And as you can see here, we have some background in here, and then to getting that build over here. Now another thing is we will need to disconnect the HDRI to really building a brand new lighting environment for this particular items. Okay, so that's the best way to build it. So what we need to do here, we're gonna go here, object, and change to the world. And now you can see this is the environment lighting node tree or node setup. So what we are going to do here, we're going to hold Control, right click, and draw a knife and cut it. Now the moment we cut it off, everything is the lighting is just gone, right? This under the solid mode, and we can see what's going on here. But in the render view, no, that's just a kind of black areas. So we don't see anything because there's no light in here. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to build a light with it. And Shift A to getting another plane. You can use the default light inside Blender, but I personally prefer using this way, and I can just to building a customized shape of lighting and do working this way, having really nice, realistic, soft effect from my experience. Shift A to doing a plane, and then I can just quickly double tap. I can just rename it light. Okay, and then I can do here R and rotate it, and then come back in here, grab it, and actually make it smaller. Hit S to make it smaller. By the way, if you're really new to this Blender, all these shortcuts, you're not quite sure, if you're not really following all these shortcuts, I would recommend you to take the absolute beginner course for Blender. I have one where you can search online or watch some free content on YouTube. You'll be able to know how I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to go details on every single step, okay? But this is going on here. So we have a lighting plane. If we need to change the world back to the object, and now we don't have anything for this material, the plane. So I need to add one. So hit new and then change the name to light. Although I changed the name to light, but it doesn't really working as light. So what I need to do here, I need to select this principal BSDF, click that, hit X to delete it, and hit Shift A to adding a emission shader, emission shader, search that. And then next thing we're going to holding Alt and then right click, just drag, and this is called lazy connect. So we connect with that emission shader. If we're going to the render view on the side, you will see this is one single light source, and it works like a softbox, and that works just too even and too perfect. But we have some way to refine that and makes it look more realistic. Okay, but by now you will see this is a lighting. So I can see here now. If we zoom in here, we can see some of content in here and for this bottle, right? So that's a good start. And what we need to do here, we definitely need some kind of fill light or something going on here on the left hand side in order to guiding some details out of it, because right now you can see that it's only one bright side. And what I need to do here, I'm gonna select this light and go to the solid mode, Shift D to duplicate it, another plane, and then go to the top view, hit G, X, then moving over here on the x-axis. As you can see here, I'm building another light in here. Now you will say, well, this is still not look very good, but actually we're making some progress. What you can do here, currently we're having two lights, two identical lights. So I really don't want having this kind of effect. I'm actually prefer one is a light, one is being a reflector. So what I can do here, I'm selected the one on the left hand side. I'm basically hit X to delete the materials, and actually using a one just like the default background. Okay, so I'm gonna just do that, select the background. We haven't, and if you notice, we haven't built a material for background, but this is the default background setting. So what we need to do here, hit the new, and I can just say background, right? And then I can choose the background to be pure white, although it still looks gray, just simply because of the lighting effect. But I have to explain this type of reason in one of my lighting course on YouTube. It's 100% free, and it is because the inverse square law. Okay, so if you can look it up if you're really interested. Anyway, so we can continue to do so, and the background we can actually bump up the smoothness a little bit. That's all right. And then we select the reflector. Okay, so we're gonna build a new, and then we can just call reflector. I'm hoping this something you learn is new, because you might think when we're building a materials, we're only building the material itself. Apparently inside Blender, you actually need to be aware of the lighting in order to building some materials that looks very realistic. This is what we are doing now. So the reflector, of course, I want to having the pure white reflector, and I have a more roughness, so I'm actually can bump more light come back here. So now you can see here, this is the scene. We have some kind of result down here. Apparently we have really harsh line on the bottle, and it doesn't look very good, so we will need to fix that. Okay, so what I need to do here, select the reflector. Actually I can change the name, reflector. Then we're gonna go to the top view, kind of move the distance around the x-axis. You can see that the way, if I'm getting closer, I get more coverage on the bottle, and at the same time you can see there's a gap in this area is kind of showing off. So what I need to do here, I'm actually just gonna make this reflector a little bit bigger, and apparently inside Blender or a 3D world, this is so easy to do. If you photographing this inside of Studio, then you need to have really big physical reflectors in here. So that's one benefit. So I can just hit G to grab it, and to kind of getting somewhere to getting this part of the details kind of getting reflecting. Okay, so it's been covered, and the other side is just the light, right? So the light I'm going to make a little bigger, hit S to make it bigger, and it's not going to cover everything here. And also because this is pretty smooth metal bottle, and it's really tough to do that because it's going to reflecting everything else. So what I would do a little bit to refine this lighting is actually gonna having a center hot spot in the center and slowly fading away. So this is also actual softbox works, is having a flash inside or strobes inside and having a light pump out. And then because the lighting modifier is gonna pretty big, the light is gonna naturally fall off to the edge. So there are two ways to do that. The one is utilizing the existing texture material to building that, and the second way to using a actual image texture. So let's go with the first path. Shift A, we're going to need a gradient texture. So let's just search gradient texture and click here, and then put it here, and then I can hook the color to the color. Now you can see we quickly have some gradients going on here. But what I would truly want, I want to have a circle in the center as white and the edge is being black. So what should you do? So you should go to the gradient texture, you go to here and go to the spherical. Now you see here, yeah, it is kind of getting close, but it's not really what you want because the center spot is on the one corner. So next thing you need to do here, you're gonna click this, Control T. You're going to having the mapping node and the texture coordinate node to put in here together. Okay, so that's pretty convenient to do, and making sure you already enable the node wrangler add-on in order to having this shortcut key working. Okay, so next thing we'll need to do here, we just need to simply drag the object to the vector instead of generate it. So watch what's happening. So once you did that, you can see here the hot spot is in the center, is actually in here, and also you will notice the lighting is much soft. It's not really a harsh line anymore, and it's much more beautiful, don't you think? Yes. And then what you're gonna do here, you can actually hit S to scale up if you really want, and you can see where some kind of better, nice transitioning on the bottle when you see the metal. Okay, so and then we can actually hit G to grab it. We can just kind of move things around, and then same thing on this side. We can even just rotate it, or we can just go with the other way. Okay. So now you can see here we have something going on here, and this is good comparison to see the a little bit softer transition and the hard transition. And the second way we can do here for the lighting, if I'm just click the light back in here, and I'm just gonna hit control right click to cut this thing off and drag this thing all the way here. And I can do a image shader, and then shift A to adding an image shader. Okay, image textures, and then put in here. So connect these two, and then immediately you see a purple. It means there's no textures inside of here, so I need to adding a texture. So hit open, then you will be able to find these image textures under the support file and the lighting textures. So we can just go with the diffuse lighting this time. Click that, hit open image, and now you can see here we got something a little bit different, a little bit more space in the transitioning time from the highlight to the very dark edge. So this is what I've actually made for you guys. You'll be able to access that as well. So what you can do here, you can basically just using this type of light to do lighting the entire scene. If you notice, this light is actually softer. So what we can do here, we can simply just bump up the light intensity, and we can also change the position, hit G to kind of really getting something out of here. So this can be a really good light to lighting overall scene. And we're still not getting there, but we are making huge progress now. So here, if you don't like this kind of like really harsh light reflections, we can just simply hit GX to grab that side to make a little bit not that intense, but you still can see some details. Now you can see pretty strong highlight, and this is kind of like a pretty cool way to lighting super reflective a cylinder type of object. It doesn't matter a bottle or anything. You can see here we have a hard edge on the side, and then we have transitioning to the highlight, and then we have a dark shadow in the middle, and then we're transitioning another soft shadow reflection, and then we have another hard black edge on here. This is considered pretty beautiful. And then what we can do here, we can actually manipulating the background a little bit to really fitting this whole thing a little bit better. So what we can do here, we can just select the background, or you can say BG background, and then hit G to grab it and move up and down. You can see here, if I'm moving this thing down, you can see the bottom part of the bottle is actually doesn't have the reflection. So this is also important that we can need to pay attention the environment to really count. Okay, so hit G, Z to kind of move up and down. So we can G, Z, and holding the shift to really moving a small increment. And one thing I really want you guys to pay attention, when you're putting things on, it doesn't need to be 100% touch, because if you do so and the shadow doesn't really showing, it looks very weird like this, right? So you actually need to have some kind of room to showing the shadow to really get it, the render looks more realistic. Okay, so that's what's going on here. Go to the front view, and that's what we're having here, and hit the N key to really adjusting the view. Currently we're using the default focal length. 50 is not really good for products, so at least 100, or usually I use 110. So that works much better. So I will highly recommend you to kind of change that on each view. So just do that, 110 or 100, whatever you want to do. So in this way, it actually having less distortion on the actual bottle itself. Okay, so this looks pretty cool to me. And the next thing we can do make it a little bit better is we can actually building another light or from the top view. So this time it's much simpler. Click here and shift D to duplicate it, and hit the front view, hit R to rotate it, and then we can just drag the thing top. And the thing is actually building up is one thing is having light actually from the top view. You can see here the reflection, and also the same thing is actually bouncing more light to the ground, and then we physically gonna bounce some light back. So that's pretty cool and useful. So what you can do next is just kind of refine what you need to do. Just kind of, you can even see that if you're moving toward here, and then you can see here we have a highlight in the front. This is not something I want. So I'm actually gonna go back and hit G and Z, just kind of getting some really general overall feel light going on here. As you can see here, the bottle is like this small, and the entire environment is pretty big. And a lot of time when you're doing the renders for a certain products, you are going to have a certain logo with it, and that will be the focal points of building that. We will having a case study just talking about the logo, and don't worry about that. And so far, we can basically this is going to be our final lighting. This is going to be our second pass to do any adjustment in this materials that we have built. So click the bottle, and then right now you see the metal, and I can just tweaking things a little bit. As you can see here, the real bottle usually is not that super reflections, because usually it's been painted with certain color. And so I'm thinking we can just kind of bump out the roughness a little bit to showing the nice and finished metallic feel, and it looks really good to me. I think let's go not too much. I think 0.003 is good enough. And also, if the actual design is like this, is pretty boring. Usually you have some little bit different textures or different materials. I can just select the cap, and I don't want to use the same metal. I can just use a brand new materials cap. So you can see I still want a metal, that's fine. And then if you click in here to change the roughness a little bit small, we can actually, for this one, we can make a little bit more tougher. So we can just 0.56, and then you see this looks much more photorealistic. Okay, the key things about a metal material is not only about how accurate you set up in the principal BSDF, it is actually the environment and the lighting that you need to pay attention. Okay, so this is everything I want to share in this video. I will see you in the next one.